Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now. It is time for the query segment, and as we indicate right at the start, this is how you do it if you're joining in for the first time. If you've got a question on any stock or sector, you can send it to us on any one of our social media platforms or indeed on the WhatsApp number that's flashing on your screen. And do tell us your name, tell us the stock that you'd like to know about, if you've bought it, what level you've bought it at, and how long you'd like to hold it for. The first question is coming in from a viewer from a previous show. In fact, Prasant has looked at Nuresh's target from, I believe it must have been in TM, the market, Axis Bank at 675. Can he look at this target, Kunal, for the next couple of days? He just wants to confirm this with you.
Well, yeah, I think you can look at 675 as a potential target. That could probably be, taking the stock above its 50-day moving average. And I think, if I'm not wrong, ICICI Bank has led this breakout by being the first private sector bank to break out of its 50-day moving average and restricting it towards the top private sector bank names. So I think, yes, in that aspect, if ICICI Bank also leads the charge from the front, then you can probably expect these stocks to try and break out of their small resistances for themselves.
All right. I don't have one, but I have actually two queries coming in on SRF. As in, two of our viewers have written to us on the same stock. One is from Soumitra Joshi. He wants a view on SRF, technical view specifically, and if there's any fundamental red flags that one should take note of at this moment. And the other one is from Raja Rampur, who's saying, there is SRF a good buy? And at which price for the medium term? So let me get your view on this one, Kunal. SRF, how does this one look? And then Rajesh, maybe if you have any concerns on this particular counter fundamentally, maybe then you can add on to it. So Kunal, go ahead with SRF.
So, technically I've tracked the stock since quite a long time, many years as such, and I've seen this one tendency of charts for SRF that whenever it gets into any kind of a breakdown mode where the chart patterns are showing extreme bearishness, it tends to give you a couple of days of a breakdown, but then the reversal on the upside is also very swift and fast. It's a stock which has not given any major corrections for itself. Even at current levels where the stock looks to be more fragile, more vulnerable in terms of charts and looking quite weak, I would probably expect that the stock would go into a turnaround mode and may get, in fact, into a rally phase. So I would probably expect that if you're looking to buy the stock, you should try and take opportunity of these false breakdown modes for a stock like SRF to chip into the stock.
Rajesh,
Sorry, Rajesh, any view on SRF? Fundamentally, do you think it's a good company to stay invested in?
Yes, of course, we are positive on the stock based on the numbers, the balance sheet, strong balance sheet it has. And we have advised our clients to go long on this. And we still believe that despite the kind of increase in market cap in the last 2-3 years, it still has a lot of scope to go up. I think one can continue to hold and add on dips.
Rajesh, coming back to you, this is a question coming in from Mr. R.K. Ahuja. And he's asking about UPL and Sun Pharma from the perspective of at least 1 year. Would you suggest a fresh entry at this point?
No, I would say avoid both of these stocks because Sun Pharma, as it is not performing quite well in the entire pharma space, I would say the better bet would be a Cipla or a Dr. Reddy's. And as far as UPL is concerned, in that space, we would prefer going for maybe a Sumitomo Chemicals or Coromandel International for that matter. But UPL, at least for the timing, is an avoid.
This one is from Neha Toteja, and this one is on Suntech Realty. Kunal, I have a feeling that you had a call on this one yesterday, so let me read out a query. 180 shares of Suntech Realty purchased at 448 rupees per share. What kind of targets can I expect in the next 1 to 3 months, and should I book partial profits right now, is what Neha is asking.
Well, I think the stock is on the verge of a big breakout. And this is a multi-year breakout which could be possible for Suntech Realty, more on the line charts, which means on closing basis. So if that happens, the prospects open up significantly higher for Suntech Realty. Now that you've bought at much lower levels of 448 approximately, the stock is at 500 plus, you are already sitting in a profit with profits of 10% plus. So if you have any kind of an apprehension, then you can maybe book out 50% of your profits over here, but then hold the other balance, because if this breakout sustains and the stock provides a multi-year kind of a uptick in terms of price, you could probably expect a much more bigger rally for Suntech Realty. So that's why I believe you should try and hold on. If any kind of an apprehension, then you can book out maybe 50% of your profits over here.
Okay, Kunal, I'm coming back to you on Delta Corp. We've got a question from Bhagwan Bablani, who's writing in from Mumbai, and he's got at an average price of 270. He's asking, can he hold for 3 months?
Well, I would suggest that you should probably try and use that amount to try and invest into some other name. Delta Corp, I believe, could probably get into a consolidation as well as possibly even a downward trend over the next 3 to 6 months. With the kind of carnage the stock has seen in the last 2 months, halving or dropping by more than 50% in that kind of a time span, it indicates that the near-term prospects may not lift off pretty easily for the stock price. So I would suggest to avoid adding more funds. You can probably hold your existing quantity. If you're looking to buy something as an alternative, I would suggest could be City Union Bank.
Okay, let's take the next question. This is Abhishek, who's writing in from Kerala, and he wants to know about a couple of stocks, Rajesh. This is Tata Powers as well as Bharat Electronics at the current levels. He's looking at a time frame of about 2 to 3 years. What should he do?
Both are a buy. As far as Tata Power is concerned, one of the largest integrated player in our country, having both, having all the modes, thermal, solar and renewable. They have sold some stake in their renewable energy business in the recent past at 38,000 crore order book. Even the solar business has got an order book of 7,800 odd crores. Company is doing extremely well. I think it's a buy at this level, maybe for a target of 275, 290 in the next 1 year or so. Even Bharat Electronics with strong order book and the government's focus on defense stocks, I think it's one good buy. So both are a buy from our side.
All right, this next query that I have is coming in from Indumati. Wants a technical view on Gujarat Ambuja exports, please. Looking to accumulate more for the longer term, and also if you could suggest an entry level for this one. What's your take on this one, Kunal, Gujarat Ambuja exports?
Well, I believe it's a good chart from a more medium to longer term perspective. It's a stock which has not given any major kind of a trending breakout moves. So I think at 290, 300 where the stock is trading, you can expect possibility of the trend to continue for Gujarat Ambuja exports. But I would not expect any kind of a momentum move coming into the stock price. So you can continue to hold on. If you're looking to buy, you can look to buy at current levels. And then have a graded target. So, maybe a 330 could be the first set of targets which you can look at from a 6 months to 1 year perspective. And as and how the stock reaches those kind of levels, you can try and trade your stop losses and continue to ride the trend on the upside.
All right. Neela Magima, who's a retired banker, is writing in from Chennai. Thank you so much, Neela, for tuning in. She's got 122 of TCS, which she's bought at levels of 3,200 about a year ago. She's asking she should stay invested, Rajesh, or should she exit? She can hold for the long term, 5 years.
For long term, of course, it's a good stock. There might be some amount of hiccups in the near term because of this quarter numbers where we expect margins to be under pressure, attrition rate to be high. But for a longer term horizon, the company is on a good footing with good amount of orders inflow. I think for a longer term horizon, it's a good bet, not only TCS, even Infosys. Just because of fundamentals, but because of the fact that after a short period of time, they come out with a buyback, and that gives an upside for the stock. The balance sheet is very strong, continue to hold. And if somebody wants to add, both of them are good, Infosys and TCS.
All right, this one that I have is coming in from Vishal, and he wants, his query is, which are the top 2 to 3 auto-anch stocks with good valuation for a fresh entry? He's looking for a long-term horizon investment. Rajesh, which companies make the cut for the longer-term investment?
Auto or auto ancillary? Auto or
it is auto ancillaries, Rajesh. The auto-anch space.
See, in valuation parameters, we are very bullish on 2-3 auto ancillary stock. First one is LG Balakrishnan, which is doing very well in the chain segment, the market leader. The balance sheet is very strong. Every quarter, the numbers have been good. The second one is FIM Industries, which we believe that can touch 1,800 in the very short term, and for a longer term horizon, much higher targets are there. The company has reported 72 rupees earnings for this year. We believe that next year earnings will be around 90 rupees. It has declared dividend of 20 odd rupees, which is still come dividend. I think this one is a good buy. The third one would be GNA Excel. The company has seen a good downtrend because of Excel demand going down in the US. But since Class 8 trucks are again starting the upper move, I think this company is again going to start its up move. These 3 stocks are from our side in the auto end space.
Okay. Questions on HUL, rather actually it's not on HUL. He's pointing out, our viewer Vivek is pointing out that he's sold HUL, Kunal, and he's looking for 2 or 3 stock recommendations for the next 3 to 6 months. What would you say?
So I think if you've sold HUL and you're looking to allocate the same amount towards some other stock, one of the stocks which I would recommend at current levels would be City Union Bank from the mid-cap private sector names. I think it looks very attractive. I've been recommending this stock over the last 2-3 days. You can look at something like Dr. Reddy as well. I think it looks extremely strong. The setup is very positive for Dr. Reddy as well. And probably for the next 3 to 6 months, you can look at a meager upside of 10% to 12%. And assuming the market also lifts off, then the percentage gains could be on the higher side. SBI Cards, it's a bit of a stock which we don't talk that often, but in the last 1.5 to 2 months, it's recovered more than 15% from its earlier lows. And I think even at current levels of 800 approximately, it looks very attractive for another 10 to 15% over the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay, this is a query that's come from one of our Twitter viewer, and this one is from Sunny, and he wants to know what's the perfect price to enter Network 18 share with a medium to longer term perspective. Kunal?
Well, you can never buy at a perfect price. I've learned this, over the last decade and a half of my experience. But you can, gradually try and accumulate, these kind of stocks. So if you're looking to buy at current levels, then I would suggest that have a staggered approach. 65, 66 is where the stock is trading right now. The previous swing low for Network 18 was approximately at 58 levels. So you can start buying at current levels and then look to average, assuming if the stock corrects by 6 rupees to 7 rupees further from your initial entry price.
Okay. The next question is coming from Tushar, and he's looking at REC for the long term at the current levels. Rajesh, what's the view on this one?
See, although the stock doesn't move that way the market moves, but still it's a very good buy. The valuations are extremely cheap, less than 1 time price to book, 2-3 times price to earnings, good dividend play. I think for a longer term horizon, if somebody is betting for a 2-3 years horizon, it's a good buy. Any point of time you can get 20-30% up move, and apart from that you get good dividend. So if you're a long term horizon player, not with a very high risk appetite, REC, PFC, these kind of stocks are a good bet.
Okay, this one is coming from Sapna, and Sapna wants to buy Cummins India, but she wants to know at what levels, Kunal.
So I think Cummins is a good buy. If you're looking at it from a short-term play, you can look to buy at current levels. I think if I'm not wrong, Cummins as well as Siemens, both of them have almost a replica kind of a chart for themselves. And both of these stocks have given a breakout. I think yesterday or today is the day where these stocks have given a breakout of 3 months or 2 months of consolidation for themselves. So purely from a momentum play, I think you can look to buy at current levels. For Cummins, you can keep a target approximately at 35-40 rupees higher if it's a pure short-term trade. And if you're looking at it from, say, a multi-week kind of a time frame, then possibly 1150, 1160 could be an immediate target for Cummins.
Okay, Rajesh Kakkad, writing in from Punjab, is seeking a view on Punjab National Bank. With his buy price is 39, and he's looking at a fundamental view. What would you say, Rajesh?
Yeah, I would say one should try and exit on every rise, because I don't think there's fundamentally any reason to be in stocks like PNB at this point of time, although it's one of the largest bank in the private sector space, public sector space. But considering the kind of bad assets, NPAs, these banks come out every now and then, it's very risky. Being large cap names like SBI or a Bank of Baroda in a public sector space or in a private sector space, you have good names like ICICI Bank or Axis Bank. Even Kotak is giving a good valuation choice.
This next query is from Sagar, and this is for you specifically, Kunal. He wants a view on Nifty. He's saying that the way Nifty is going higher, he feels that it will reach 17,200 target. Also, given the way how the FIRs seem to be less interested, and DIIs are managing the market by sector rotation.
I'm not sure of the management part, but yes, the Nifty view for me as well indicates that I would probably go with holding on to my long positions. In fact, last week or so, we were discussing, I think Sagar had the same query, and I mentioned 16,000 is a fair possibility start of the month of July. And that's, so we've taken out that resistance for the index. And now we have to look at more of a calibrated up move. So, what happens is when a new trend starts or the fresh trend begins, the market doesn't go into an ad hoc kind of a fashion. It goes into a very structured kind of a move where traders and participants, market participants, they lap onto some certain set of sectors and stocks which potentially become outperformers. My sense is that in this leg, you could probably expect the banking stocks as well as the FMCG names to carry forward the first move on the upside, and then it could be followed by the other sectors. So purely in that aspect, I would expect the uptrend to continue for the index.
Okay, Sushil Kumar from Trichy is asking a question next, and he's asking about Reliance Industries. You were talking about a few names that could power the benchmark forward, Kunal. For the next 6 months, he's bought at levels of 2350. What can the view on Reliance Industries be?
Wow, I think if you've bought at 2350 levels, I would assume it's just a very recent purchase for the stock price. It's also managed to absorb the negative news and the reactions which happened on the stock price 2 days back for itself. Now, what matters for the stock, at least over the very near term, is how it behaves, assuming if it retests the 2350 mark. So now it's in a bounce back phase. It's still not crossed above the 200-day moving average. My sense is possibly over the next couple of days, you may probably get into a retest mode of the previous support. Now, assuming if the stock doesn't break that critical support of 2350 mark and then manages to just about resurface and bounce from just slightly higher those levels, that could be a point where you can look to hold the stock for a much more stronger potential upside. So you have to maybe wait and watch for at least another week or so. If the charts pan out and the stock trades about 2350 mark, that could be a very bullish sign for Reliance Industries.
Okay, this one is coming in from Binu Sam, and this one is for you, Rajesh. He's saying that he's already doing a 5,000 SIP in sale for a period of 5 years is a time horizon that he's actually looking to do this SIP. He wants to know whether it's a good idea, and do you think that it makes sense to allocate that much amount for sale every month for the next 5 years?
Yeah, I don't think it's a very good idea because sale is a commodity stock and they move in a cycle. So I think the metal upcycle, which was there in the last 2-3 years, has been left behind, and we have seen metal prices crashing down. So I think it's not a very good idea. If you want to do a SIP mode of something, it should be in something stable counters, maybe like ITC or Reliance, even Larsen or HDFC Bank. These are the names which give you consistent return despite, irrespective of the cyclical nature of the market, I would say. So it's not a good idea to do a SIP in sale.
I've got a question coming in from Denny, and he's writing in from the UK. This is for you, Kunal, and he's asking about UPSL, which he's got a July contract for, and he's got an 810 call. He's asking whether you can see a level of 850 sometime this month.
Well, I think if you've bought very recently, I'm not sure of the buy price, but then if it's a very recent acquisition, say like for example yesterday or day before, then there are prospects that the stock can come back towards 820, 825. The concern with the patterns and the price movement for USL, United Spirits, is that it gets into very short periods of uptrend, and if the stock is unable to scale past above a resistance, somehow the momentum fades away significantly, and the stock gets into a consolidation that would erode the premium of your call option. So I would probably expect that if you've bought it recently, you are in the money, you can wait out for maybe 820, 825. That could be a modest target. But beyond that, I believe that there's a possibility that the stock may consolidate, and that could lead to an erosion of your call premium.
All right, this one is coming in from, just a second, I think I skipped this query earlier. This one is from Sovan Paul, and Bajaj Finserv is the counter that he's purchased at 16,350 rupees per share. He's looking to hold it for the longer term, but he wants to know whether he should average at current levels for his holding in the long term. What's your take on this, Rajesh? Do you think it makes sense to average Bajaj Finserv right now for the longer term?
Both, it's a good buy at these levels. Maybe if something goes wrong with the market corrects, it will also go down. There's no guarantee to that. But for a longer term horizon, it's a very good stock in the NBFC space. It is the holding company of Bajaj Finance. It holds two insurance ventures. That's the life and non-life business. It has a 100% subsidiary of a home finance business, apart from which they have got a EMC license, due to which they are going to launch a mutual fund in the near future. And apart from this, their NBFC business is doing very well. Asset quality is good. On every parameter, this is a very good stock for a long-term horizon.
Just a pointer to everybody tuning in, write in English, Hindi, Marathi, and I will be able to understand, I'm guessing. Konkani? No?
Yeah, Konkani.
Yes, Konkani is also something that will work. Unfortunately, Gujarati is something that I cannot get. So, I hope to learn at some point of time, but if you can ask in one of the languages that I understand, that will be useful. We've got a question coming in from... several questions in fact, but let me choose one of them. Jitendra from Pune is asking about Hind Copper, which he has bought at levels of 120 average price. He's looking for a long-term view. What's the view on this one, Rajesh?
See, metal prices have crashed. Secondly, this stock has not performed even in the upcycle of the metal stocks. Despite good fundamentals, the numbers have been good, valuations are good. So it's no point getting into these kind of stocks. Better if you want to be in metal, JSPL would be a better bet.
All right. Kunal, what's your view on Bajaj Finserv on the charts? How is this particular counter looking like to you? The way how the stock has performed? Yes, I got a fundamental view from Rajesh, but wanted to get a technical view from you as well.
So, the most interesting aspect about Bajaj Finserv is that in the last 14 weeks, the stock had a 13-week negative, price trend. And this has been a very rare occasion for Bajaj Finserv. It's happened, I think, in 2013-14 when the stock had corrected sharply. And the moment it ends these kind of 13-14 periods of weeks of consistent correction, it gets into a new bull market or a bull trend for itself. And that's why I think an approach of buying the stock at current levels and maybe adding on to assuming if there is any period of consolidation or minor dips should be a good strategy for the stock from a longer term play.
All right. We've got a question coming in from Puneet, and he points out, by the way, that the view on Titagar wagons, which was sought yesterday, he's got his price target, Kunal. I think it was 110, it hit that mark. He's asking about Crompton Greaves, which he has acquired at 355 levels, and he's looking at an intraday target of 365. Is that achievable?
Well, intraday, I'm not sure, but because today the volumes at the start of the day for Crompton's on the cash side was extremely high. The stock made a high and low. I think 358.59 was the high and 344 was the low. So typically the stock tends to remain in a range when you see such kind of high volume candles at the start of the day itself. I would expect that if you're looking at this as a multi-day play, then it makes sense to hold on to the trade. From an intraday perspective, I think 365 could be a bit far-fetched.
Okay, this one is from Nikhil Bhatt, and he wants a technical view on LIC Housing Finance. Is it the right time to take fresh entry in this counter? Want a view for a shorter time frame?
Well, yes, I would recommend LIC Housing. I think the stock is now inching towards a bigger breakout or a turnaround point for itself. 13-14 consecutive days where the stock had been falling previously, and I think now at current levels, even if it's a minor retracement or a rally for LIC Housing, the stock can retest 365 to 370. So that should be a decent upside of 8 to 10% from current levels.
All right. Rajesh, a view is being sought by Sudha as she's holding TV18 shares 600 and she's incurring a loss of 30%. She's asking she should sell this and buy something like a Britannia, which you pointed out, I think, as a value pick even right now for a perspective of at least 1 year.
See, I think it's no point booking losses at this point of time in TV18 because the numbers have been surprisingly very positive in the last quarter. And we believe this performance to continue in the next 2-3 quarters, at least, if not more. The stock has got whipped out unnecessarily in the last 3 months or so, I would say, both of these companies. And they have potential to go back to their original, the recent highs in the next 6 months or so. So continue holding to the stock.
All right, this next one is coming in from Jayakrishnan, and Jayakrishnan has Dmart at the price of around 4,079 rupees per share, bought for the medium-term horizon, but wants to know what to do with the counter. Can to hold on to it, sell or average, and if average, at what levels, and if exit, then which stock should she look to enter? What's your reply to this, Kunal?
I would definitely look to average and recommend to average at current levels. I think Dmart has corrected also very sharply it was a stock which was at 5,500 plus a few months back, and the recent correction to the stock back towards, I think, 3,400, 3,450 was the low the stock had made. So in that aspect, it's been a healthy correction for a stock like Dmart. Now at 3,600, 3,640 plus, I think it's a good value proposition, or at least an average if you bought at higher levels.
Okay, Praveen Kumar is writing in from Kerala. He's got Suvi Farmer, 200 shares, which he's received as a bonus after buying Suvi Life 10 years ago. Or rather, he must have acquired the share of Suvi Farmer on account of his holding in Suvi Life. Would you suggest holding on to this, Rajesh?
Yes, one can continue to the hold. The company has been doing consistently well. Long-term prospects looks good. Although in the near term it's not performing, I don't think it's going to give any spikes in the near future. But for a long-term horizon, it's a good hold.
Okay, this one is from Chetan, and I'll read this query as he's written, Kunal. He's saying that he sold Reliance Futures at 2,410. Now he is facing a loss. What should he do?
So I would probably expect the stock to get into a bounce mode, as I said earlier, that possibly the bounce can take the stock to maybe a 2490, 2500 kind of a zone. But the retest of the 200 moving average could be the most important part. So I'm not sure how much of a stop loss is what you can bear. But ideally, I would say for such kind of a short trade, a 1% stop loss ideally should be a decent stop loss for a stock like Reliance Industries.
Okay, Bala from Chennai is asking about a couple of stocks, but I'm going to choose, you know what, let's take Linde India, because I think he's holding, if I'm not mistaken. I do not know what price. But Rajesh, a lot was said about this company when there was a need for oxygen during the pandemic. What's the view right now?
We are very bullish. It's one of the largest oxygen plays, not only in healthcare, but also industrial oxygen, and AMNC with a strong balance sheet. Sometime back, if I'm not wrong, maybe 2-3 years back, they have announced of delisting, but that didn't materialize out. The numbers have been very strong. The demand is high. One can continue to hold. Even a add is recommended.
Right. This next one that I have is coming in from... This one is from Mahendra Patnaik, and he's saying that he has 1,700 shares of PC Jewelers that he purchased at 23.3 rupees per share. Should he continue to hold or book profits is what he's asking. Kunal. What should he do?
See, you can continue to hold even though the stock is into a multi-month, multi-year consolidation. I think 2021 start is where the stock had made a high of 31, 32, and from there the stock has gone into a consolidation for itself. But there could be possibility that the stock may get into a breakout mode sooner than later. So if you've managed to hold on to it for quite a long time, I would continue to advise to hold on, at least from a near to medium term play. Possibly in the next 6 months to 1 year, if the stock gets into a breakout mode, it could lead the stock into a multi-year high for itself as well.
We've got A. Lakshmi Narayan, who is writing in from Chennai, and he's bought IOB, Indian Overseas Bank, at levels of 76. This is in August of 2014. He's asking whether to wait for another decade or should he forget about it. The question is for you, Rajesh.
See, it's very difficult to predict about a decade, but at this point of time, the valuations are looking good. In fact, yesterday only we have recommended our clients for a short-term buy. Maybe a 15 to 20% upside from the current market price is quite possible. But getting to his buy price, I think it would be a very long call.
Right, and with that, let's kickstart with the rapid fire then. And the first one is for you, Rajesh. This one is coming from Shreyas. What about Aarti Drugs for the longer term? Already purchased at the levels of 583 rupees per share.
So it's a hold. In the short term, it's underperforming, but for long term, it's an hold.
Okay, KVG Reddy is asking about Infosys, which was bought at levels of 1830. Would you suggest an average at this point, Rajesh?
Yes, of course. The numbers, although we seem to be under pressure in this quarter, but it's a hold for a longer term.
Okay, Subhash wants a view on CAMS, Kunal, for the shorter term. How does this chart look?
So I think CAMS looks attractive to me. You can look to buy or average at current levels of 2200.
Canara Bank at 240. This is Srinivas from Guntur, and he's asking why the stock is falling. if it delivered an EPS of 35 at the end of March 2022. The views sought from you, Rajesh.
See, the entire market was under pressure, and that was the reason it fell, not because of fundamentals. It's an ad from our side.
Okay, Soumya has 100 shares of Godrej Agrovet at 628 rupees per share. Wants to know what to do with this particular counter, Kunal.
I will suggest you to hold on to the stock at current levels.
Rights is the name of the counter, Rajesh. Manikandan from Kerala is asking about this counter. He's bought at levels of 265. Should he hold for the medium term?
See, it was some time back, railway stocks were performing, but now they are not performing. I don't think before February, when the budget comes in, something would happen. It's better to exit.
Okay, Vivek wants to know whether it's good time to buy Mindtree. What's your take, Kunal?
Well, if it's a longer term play, then I would definitely recommend a buy on Mindtree.
Kunal, Karthik is asking about TCS. I think we've already addressed it. Good buy the current market price for the long term?
I would suggest shift to Infosys. I think that's a much more better and a stronger bet.
Rajesh, Venkateshwaran wants to know if Confidence Petro is worth buying at around 49 rupees for the longer term.
It's a strictly avoid. I mean, there are better choices in the market.
Okay. We're completely out of time, and I think that we've managed to take quite a few queries. Gentlemen, thank you so much for helping us out, and our viewers, in fact. I'm sure that a lot of them are very grateful. To those of you who have written in, who have not gotten an answer today, well, we'll be back tomorrow and we'll take as many as possible. But once again, thanks so much to Rajesh as well as Kunal for joining in. We have to slip into a very quick break, but there's more on the other side, so do stay tuned.
That sometimes does come across as one-dimensional. But what people don't see is that these numbers, when strung together, tell a story. There's no really black or white. It very much seems to be a work in progress of triumphs and mistakes.